relationship with your dog is just as important as the training exercises that you use. And this applies to most things, but especially recall. Because when the rubber hits the road, I can't make your dog come back to you if they decide they don't want to. Our relationships with our dogs are built in every single interaction that we have with them. Our dogs learn from their interactions with us for better or for worse. Okay, whether we're trying to teach them something or not, they're gonna take something away from our interactions with them. So this means that our habits can influence our dog's behavior. These little things that we do in our everyday life, these things can affect how our dogs will respond to the recall in the future. Here are 3 common habits that I see a lot that we have as humans that if we change them over time, we can help strengthen our recall, or at the very least, not weaken the recall in everyday life. Okay? Number 1, don't use your dog's name correctively.
No, bad dog, bad Darcy, look what you did. You ruined everything, Darcy, why? This is my best work. Darcy, how could you? I'm yelling at you, Darcy.
If calling out their name is intermittently or regularly synonymous with punishment, that is going to weaken your recall over time. A lot of people have their dog's name included in their come when called, or they use their dog's name as their come when called cue. So if we pair this with punishment, it's going to affect how your dog reacts the next time you say their name. Instead, choose a sound or word that is not your dog's name that you will consistently use to interrupt problem behaviors when you see them. In my house, this is ah-ah.
Ah-ah.
Next, don't call your dog if you can't ensure that they're going to come running to you.
Darcy! Darcy, come here! Darcy! Who's a good girl? Come on, Darcy. I'm calling you, but I can't make you come. Darcy, you're practicing the wrong thing.
If you call them over and over and they practice not coming to you, then the behavior of ignoring that call and instead staying put, that becomes a stronger and stronger behavior. And so over time, this can really affect your recall. There are 2 different things that you can do instead of this. The first thing we can do instead is, if you need your dog to come to you and you can't guarantee that they'll come if you call them, they're not on a leash so you can't make it happen, but you do need them to come to you, I would take advantage of the treat bag crinkle. Okay, so we all know that when we open a bag of treats, our dogs usually come running because they know that that is something delicious and they can smell it. So what I would want you to do instead is open up that treat bag, and as they come running, then call their name. Then use their recall so that they're at least pairing the come when call cue with actually moving towards you. But at least you're getting what you need to get done, and you're also doing a little bit of practice of pairing that phrase or that cue with actually coming when called.
Good girl, Marvel, good job. Good girl.
The other thing that you can do is set aside some time to monitor your dog as they drag a leash around the house, a leash or like a long line. And so definitely always monitor just to make sure they don't get caught on anything. But the idea here is to practice making sure that they come when called. So you go to the end of the leash, they're doing whatever they want to do, and you call their name and say they look at you but don't come right away. That's when you pick up the leash and reel them in, reel them in, so to speak. One really important thing about this is that as you're reeling them in, you are praising them as much as you would be if they were, running to you on their own. And you give them the treats that you would give them if they had come all the way on their own. Because what you do now affects what your dog is going to choose to do in the future. So if coming when called is always paired with those great things, they're going to have a lot less reason to ignore that cue. Okay, they're going to want to do what you say because it gets them something really good. But with this method, over time, you're going to have to shorten the leash or the line instead of just taking it off altogether and then trying to call your dog, because they'll feel the difference in weight and they can easily learn that no leash means they can ignore the coming when called cue. So start with a leash or a long line and then slowly shorten it until there's nothing there. And then at that point, you've got a pretty strong recall, hopefully.
Marvel! Good job, girl. Good job. Come here. Good job. And you get some treats. What a good girl. What a good girl.
Don't call your dog to do something that they don't enjoy. This varies depending on the dog, but typically it includes things like baths and nail trimming, maybe a car ride to the vet, confinement, anything that takes you away from your dog. That's also something that I wouldn't call your dog to you for. So for instance, if you need to run down to the store real quick and you have to put your dog in the crate in order to do that because they can't be trusted in the house, even if they like their crate, you leaving is not something that they are going to enjoy very much. Our dogs love us being around.
Darcy, where are you? Darcy, it's time to have a bath. Darcy, let's go take a bath and trim your nails. Darcy.
Instead, go get your dog. I would bring a treat to them and I would let them eat it and pet them and stuff, and then I would either, if it's a small dog, pick the dog up and bring it where you need to go, or lead the dog, if it's a large dog, where you need it to go.
Hey, girl. Whoops. Good job. It's a yummy treat, huh? He's a good girl. Yes, he's a good girl. You done, girly? All right, let's go trim your nails, okay? We're gonna go trim them nails. All right?
Always remember that what you do today is going to affect how your dog responds tomorrow. So if today you call your dog to you in order to trim their nails and they really don't like that, tomorrow they're going to think twice before coming when called. And we can't predict what the consequences of that will be tomorrow. Maybe your dog gets out of the yard tomorrow. Maybe they slip their collar on a walk and you need them to come back to you. You cannot predict when these things are going to happen, which is why I spend a lot of time focusing on what we can do now in order to increase the chances of your dog coming when called in the future, because you never know when you really are going to need them to. Okay? You never know when a recall is going to save a life. Change your habits, change your dog.
Thanks for watching. If you learned something, make sure to follow me on social media. Facebook, The Pals K9 Academy, Twitter, The Pals Academy, Instagram, The Pals Academy, and my website is www.palsk9academy.com.